Flex Fridays here. Going to be giving you guys the top picks to go on your Flex Friday slip. Let's go ahead and get into that. But first, just a quick recap from yesterday. Another profitable day yesterday. The prize pick slip went 1 for 3. Not a good day there. It was pretty much the exact opposite of 2 days ago, where the underdog slip was very good, 4 for 5. So the insured slip hit. So a half a unit of profit yesterday. That continues the hot stretch that we've been on really this past week, but over 2024. That puts us at a total of 110 units. And I will say the half a units was really bothering me. So yesterday was 109.5 units went. So in a weird way, I'm kind of okay with it to get us to 110 units, one of profit. But yes, continue the hot stretch there. Obviously, Flex Friday is nice because we don't really have to worry about losing any units. We are mostly just, taking advantage of the free money that they're trying to toss out at us. And so looking at right now, guys, I do want to call it that we are not getting all the props that we need to on this slate to really be able to dial in on some of the best edges that are going to be there. But we are starting to get more. And so I say it that way specifically for NBA because we are getting a lot of spots where a lot of players are going to be injured. Okay. And I kind of want to start with breaking down NBA because I do think we are going to get some edges there. So we're going to see Philly is going to be without, 4 players that get a ton of minutes for them when they're active. So that's going to be something we have to deal with. Looking at Charlotte, they're very banged up. Brandon Miller is going to be expected to have a higher usage rate. Looking at Washington, Bagley is out, so Kyle Kuzma could start at the 5, which would be interesting. We actually have seen Corey Kispert step up when that has actually occurred. Minnesota's still going to be without Towns. Cleveland, extremely banged up. Darius Garland going to get a massive bump in usage, as is Jared Allen, with Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, and Max Strus off the court. So that's something I want to touch on. For New York, we have a lot of their players still banged up. Brunson is a game-time decision. I think for Atlanta, Jalen Johnson being out is a big piece of news. Memphis is still extremely banged up as well. And in a weird way, Portland may be getting a little bit healthier. We'll see. But I do want to start with NBA, and I really just want to start out with looking at Charlotte specifically. I want to see the Brandon Miller props because I personally think that those are going to be some edges for us. And so I like that the data, although it's not like huge, is telling us to bet the over here. About a 51% chance for him to get over 28.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Now, don't get me wrong, like the edge is not insane, but if you look at his per 36 production with all those Charlotte players off the court, and then we also have Trey Mann potentially questionable as well, that could really increase his usage for this game. And we have him projected to get 35 minutes. His per 36 production with all his players off the court is 32 PRA. Okay, so that's basically what the data is telling us. I expect him to be able to get that over today. So maybe not the best bet on paper, but that is one where maybe not the best bet really for Flex Friday. If you guys are someone that bets on DraftKings Sportsbook, FanDuel Sportsbook, BetMGM, those, I would say that's a better bet there because, again, we want to be chasing the best EV bets for today. And if you guys are wondering why we've been able to kind of dominate in that sense in 2024, there's been a concentration really on just giving you guys the best prop bets, which I always try to do, but it's really just waiting until we are getting those fantasy score prop bets. Now, I chose to do this video a little bit earlier because I thought we were getting some edges here and there. Looking at it right now, Jared Allen over 11.5 rebounds. Now, that's going to get bumped to 12. We basically know that. I still don't think that that's a bad one, although it is then going to be valued as a push. What prop bets can we run out then for Cleveland? That's the question. And so looking at which players benefit the most with Mobley, Strus, and Donovan Mitchell out the court, minutes-wise, it's Georges Niang, who will get some run here. I do expect that to happen. And then Sam Merrill as well. Now, we're not getting any prop bets for those guys. Karis LeVert is another one that does benefit with those players off the court. Craig Porter gets more minutes as well. But the players that we are getting props for right now are Isaac Okoro, Darius Garland, and Jared Allen. So let's touch on those. Then let's start with Darius Garland. So Darius Garland, his per 36 production is going to be 25.6 points and 7 assists per 36. And so already this line that we're getting here to me kind of stands out. Again, this is going to be a much better bet I'm on the sportsbook because, well, the data is actually favoring the under. So not a good prize picks bet. I understand this is a Flex Friday video, but if you want to run out like PRA, if you guys like that, like that's not bad as well. You tack on about 3 rebounds per 36 and he's projected to get around 36 minutes. That to me is a good line. That to me is also a strange line. I don't really get why the data isn't adjusting for those players being off the court. That does seem like a slight edge. We get into Jared Allen as well. Jared Allen is someone that we know when Mobley's on the court, they are kind of splitting the work. That just tends to happen. Now with Evan Mobley off the court, he averages about 12.6 rebounds per 36. So that is a very good number that we are getting there. And then this line right here, correct. He averages about 17 points per 36 with Evan Mobley off the court. So I don't really think we're getting an edge there, but he does average about 3.5 assists per 36 with him off the court. So maybe a slight edge there if you wanted to do, I don't know, maybe rebounds and assists or something like that, you could. potentially. I would say there's a slight edge there, but to me, the best one that we are going to get is actually probably going to be fantasy score for him. And then kind of the last spot that I want to call is going to be Washington. So Washington's going to be without Shamet. They're going to be without Marvin Bagley and also Daniel Gafford, who they traded to Dallas. But I do think, with the data that I'm looking at, that sample is going to be definitely something we want to look at. So we aren't getting as many prop bets as I would want. I do think Corey Kispert is going to be someone that will step up. Koulibaly is actually the one that gets the most minutes with those 3 players off the court. Hasn't really done much with those. I don't think we want to be really targeting him. I will say he does average 13 points per 36 and 4.5 rebounds. So it does seem like there might be a slight edge there. If you guys want to run that out, you could. I don't really want to do that. I think his minutes are pretty volatile, just like all of Washington. The one I want to concentrate on is actually going to be Kyle Kuzma. So Kyle Kuzma per 36 averages 26 points per 36 with those players off the court, 8.3 rebounds, and about 4 assists. And we're going to see basically all the prop bets that we're getting for Kyle Kuzma are all a little bit too low. So I will say there's a slight edge there if you guys want to run those out. Then from there, it does seem to be pretty good in terms of the other lines that we were getting there. Like Denny averages 16.5 points per 36. If you guys wanted to run that out, given the data kind of likes it, you could. But that kind of does it for NBA. Let's just show you guys which are the best prop bets today in NBA as a whole as it sits right now. And so as it sits right now, we are getting some EV bets. Again, guys, if these are there for you guys when you are placing your bets, by all means go for them. I don't like to include these on the bet of the day because chances are they're going to be bumped down or bumped up, to the correct line so that PrizePicks is not losing that edge. But again, if these are there, these ones that are over 54%, by all means, run those out when you guys are watching this video. So I do like those bets. I think these are all pretty good ones. I would agree with these ones as well. Let's jump into college basketball. We're going to see that we are getting one good bet as it sits right now. And that's going to be Robbie for under his fantasy score. And we're going to see that kind of correlates here with this. And guys, this is kind of crazy. Like, we don't see this difference here between points. That is something that stands out. And like, I just had to double check to make sure that wasn't like a demon and goblin. Maybe it's supposed to be a demon there, but that's a good less than bet. Okay. Because on underdog, it is set at 18. Or maybe you're looking at that and say, I want to bet the over on underdog. That's a 2-point difference. That should not be happening. But again, that goes to kind of my whole thing with college basketball. That is why we see massive edges. That is why sometimes, majority of the time we have the big edge on underdog specifically because they're a little bit more aggressive with their projections. But that is also why, 2 nights ago where we went 0 for 5, that's just going to happen because it is a tougher sport to project. Sometimes PrizePicks is going to be better. Sometimes underdog is going to be better. Most of the time it's going to be the average sportsbook because we're pulling in several different odds for that. But that is the crazy thing about college basketball is that there's a lack of consistency across some lines. So man, I'm going to have to run that under on underdog. That's just going to happen. Or sorry, the over on underdog and then probably the under here. That being said, the under fantasy score still makes sense. Like if that line gets bumped down to where it should, and where it should be is probably 18.5, maybe 19, but we are seeing that the outlier here is DraftKings or is PrizePicks, sorry. And now don't get me wrong, I expect one of the sides to correct that, but we are seeing an edge there. So if you want to bet that both ways, by all means go for that. Even if it gets bumped down to where it's one prop line difference, that still shouldn't be happening. That's crazy. But yeah, we like the under for fantasy score there for him. We can see why the points would bring up his fantasy score to where it is, to where it could be slightly different. If this was set at 34, if you were attacking on 2 more points, then that'd be closer. Or if you knock this down to, let's say, 35, then the edge would not be as great. But we are seeing that is a decent edge that we are getting. I do want to call out one other thing as well. For PGA, we're not getting that many big edges. I just want to call that out first and foremost. But prop line difference, this has been something that's updating live right now because, the tournament's going on right now. But one prop bet that I like a lot is looking at Sam Burns for under 72.5 for his strokes, 71.5 for his strokes. That is going to be because, if you look at the other players that are around his strokes line, like projection wise for the weekend for round 2, he projects just as good as Victor Hovland, better than Jason Day, better than Hideki, about the same as Scotty. And so that is a strange line. Now, I do want to call it that some of these lines that we are getting, the data from like DraftKings Sportsbook, and I'll show you guys here real quick. Like for Wyndham Clark, that's not a good example. Here, Tom Kim, 71.5. That's not a good example as well. Let me find that. Russell Henley, that's going to go live by the time most of you guys watch this though. But that's at minus 150. Now, I would say DraftKings Sportsbook and whatnot, I would say there is still an edge there where their lines are really not the best. Like we can still gain an edge by really not going too crazy trusting their lines for golf specifically, but it is something to note. Like I don't mind the idea of Russell Henley for over his strokes. But in comparison, like Sam Burns compared to Russell Henley, Sam Burns projects better. So I do like the under there. And no crazy prop line differences. Another those other kind of nuanced sports that we have. No passes where it's like +10 difference, which was still crazy that happened, but that's why I like to look at that. So let's just jump into NHL real quick, seeing if we're getting any good ones there. Again, my first thing that I do here, set this to 0. I only want to be seeing the lines that are exactly the same. And we're going to see, guys, NHL wise, we're not really getting an edge here. So that's unfortunate. It really is. We're not getting any edges here in terms of which bets we should be running out. And once you know, we are getting some fantasy score prop bets, as I was going to go give you guys the bet of the day. So I'm refreshing the data on my end, but instantly my initial thoughts is that Kelly Oubre's fantasy score is too low. You know, you just look at his usage rate with Maxey, Melton, and Embiid off the court, and even Robert Covington, like that line seems to be too low. Now, he is a guy that's very hot and cold with his shot. Like if he's not hitting his buckets, he's not going to get that over fantasy score. That is just how it's going to go. But this line initially seems too low to me. I'll see what the data says. And then for Buddy Hield as well, it does feel a little bit too low. He is the exact same thing as Kelly Oubre, though. You probably just want to bet one or the other. You want to bet both of them. And then Kyle Lowry's at least been consistent. Like I don't love this line, but again, with all those players out, that is something to note. And interesting, so Herbert Jones over fantasy scores popping up again. That happened a couple of nights ago as well. That's a little bit shocking to me. Let's take a peek real quickly at those Philly props though. And so Buddy Hield slightly favored for his over fantasy score. That's okay. Kyle Lowry under fantasy score. So I think I got a good idea of what I want to run out for Flex Friday slip. So let's show you guys that. All right. So looking at the Flex Friday slip, it's going to be a 4 slip bet. If Sam Burns is not there for you guys, which it could be for maybe half of you guys or so, again, hit the notification bell so you're not missing out on this. I know it feels like a lot of people have been just because I've been coming out with the videos a little bit later. I'm doing that for you guys. I'm not doing that for myself. Well, kind of like I want to give you guys the best bets. I already mentioned that, but I'm doing that for you guys. So make sure to hit the notification bell so you're not missing out on any of this great coverage. Now, I do think that this is still a decent edge that we are getting. The course is playing more difficult right now. I do think that's more because golfers are just hitting the ball terribly right now. I'm literally have it on a screen right here. Golfers just playing bad. It's not really the course, but we'll see. Burns could play bad as well. If you guys didn't want to use that one's not there. By all means, just run out these next 3 as well. This one, though, as well, I didn't realize the start time there. That explains why the points prop was weird. Geez, that sucked. That sucked. And this one's still pretty early as well. I'm sorry, guys. It kind of is what it is. I didn't realize the start times to these. That's annoying. That really is. I'm sorry. But I'm going to end this video so I can get this out to as many people as possible. These are the 4 best bets that I will be running out on Flex Friday, assuming they make the promo code or promo available in time to use those as well. Thank you guys for watching. Do want to call it? Yeah, if you guys just want access to the cheat sheet, it's available for just $10 a month. That'll give you the updated props if those lock before you guys are able to get to this. Again, just $10 a month. I priced that way for you guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck today. And as always, let's keep cashing.